So we are back on the Below the Prem podcast. It's me, Alex Craig, alongside Joner Fat Cat, and we've got a lot of championship results to talk through. Of course, Boxing Day, not exactly Boxing Day 1963 First Division results, but some interesting ones, and one that definitely wouldn't look out of place. That being Wrexham versus Sheffield United. A good result for our team as well. Coventry City, obviously still top of the table. A good return for Mr. Jake Bidwell. Jake Bidwell, who took over Jada Silva quite well, I thought. Two early kickoffs that we'll start off with. We'll then move on to the other games. Some interesting results. Jonah, your thoughts before we get into it, just overall on this game week. The halfway point as well, I should mention, halfway through the championship season, other than Blackburn and Portsmouth, but that's because Blackburn's pitch is so bad. But other than that, the halfway point.
Well, it's been a great season so far. It's can't believe it's already halfway over, but very solid day of football. Shame there was only one Prem game. Well, the Man U game just kicked off, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, good bit of football today. Let's start with the early kickoff. Was able to watch this game in its entirety, Birmingham versus Derby at Birmingham. Home crowd was a little lackluster. I didn't see the official numbers. Both teams got red cards in this game. However, the Birmingham City red card was in stoppage time, which very dangerous challenge from Chris Clark, whether he meant to do it or not. Derby player was leaking from his head, straight red. He will probably be out for the next 3 games. But I got to be honest with you, this was a very tough game to watch. It was a very frustrating game, no matter which side you're on. Birmingham City, their game plan. They're going to hold possession. They're going to lull you to death, and they're going to capitalize on their opportunities with crosses, set pieces. And Derby were ready to go. I mean, they took a 1-0 lead in this game, but then the red card happens, and it's just sit in and defend. And Kyogo comes on. Kyogo doesn't do anything. He's got to be the flop of the year. I mean, it's already confirmed that he definitely is, but it's 20 appearances, no goals or assists now. But this is the first full 90 that well, not full 90 of Kyogo that I've watched in a while. The guy's head is absolutely gone. He's throwing punches at people. He's running into players. It's it's terrible. I don't know what you thought about it.
Yeah, he's not the signing that Birmingham probably expected. I mean, this is what happens when you're playing for a team in a league where there's only two teams going for the league, other than this year. Hearts are actually doing quite well. And you impress, and then you go to a much more competitive league like the Championship or the French League and don't show up. I mean, I only watched parts of this game because I was on my way to the CBS and stuff. But I mean, I think Birmingham really struggled up until Joe Ward. I mean, 2 cards in 10 minutes sent off. Derby a little bit on the back foot after that. I felt Birmingham was starting to put on a little bit more pressure. They controlled possession throughout the game, I felt. I mean, Patrick Agyemang getting on the goal sheet as well. Should probably talk about that. He's doing really, really well. And I mean, as a fellow American, you have to probably admit he is more likely to be in the US men's national team at the moment come the World Cup than Haji Wright. Would you agree, even as a Coventry fan?
Form-wise, right now, you have to say yes, but Patrick Agyemang actually had a run this entire summer at the Gold Cup under Poch, and I believe he started every single game. And since then, he hasn't been called up in the last couple camps. But, the poor form of Sergeant Haji right now, he's definitely talking his way back into that World Cup roster, and he could make a late surge considering how strong he's looked. And another crazy thing, Alex, I don't know if not a lot of people know this, and I know we got to move on. He's only been a professional for 3 years, which is absolutely insane. So it's looking like a good investment for Darby right now. He's strong, he's big, he's physical, and he commands defenders towards him. And if they can get through this little patch without Morris, once he comes back, they could really do some damage. I mean, they're sitting in 11th right now. They're 4 points off of the playoffs. Blues now dropped down to 15th. I mean, they were already in 14th, but 6 points off the playoffs. I think it's only a matter of time before they have to make a change, and I think we know where that's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, just to finally brush over Derby, I think they're overachieving massively on a lot of people's expectations. 8 wins, 8 draws in the opening 23 games. And I look at the table now, it's teams are formatted a little bit to kind of where you'd expect them to be come the end of the season.
Mhm.
And we'll move on to a game, two clubs that I'd probably expect to be in and around the top six, two clubs I predicted to be in the top six this season, Millwall versus Ipswich. A goalless draw. I think if you speak to any Millwall fan, Ipswich fan, they'd have probably taken a point at the Den. I mean, for Ipswich, they're going into a tough game against Coventry on Monday, a team that they beat 3-0 at Portman Road at the start of the month. They've beaten Stoke early on in this month and Sheffield Wednesday as well. So Ipswich's form has really improved. I think it's a good point for the Tractor Boys. I think Millwall being at home could have probably likened maybe 3 points, but they seem to be on the back foot for a lot of this game. Yeah, like I say, it's a good point for both teams. Ipswich in third position now. I mean, I've said it to you, Joner, for a long time. If anyone is going to overtake Middlesbrough, it could be Ipswich Town. They're 5 points behind Borough. And I mean, if Ipswich get some points pretty soon, Middlesbrough start to dip, they could be in second, as I've predicted. And Millwall, I don't think it's too much to worry about. I know they were coming off back-to-back losses. They hadn't been great recently. I mean, especially the loss against Blackburn. But yeah, I mean, I think Alex Neil's a good manager. If they replicate what they've done in this first half of the season, it wouldn't surprise me if they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, it's been a while since Millwall were out of the playoffs. I mean, they're only out on goal differential right now, but it's the first time I've seen them in seventh in a while. I want to say I predicted them to finish there. I could be wrong. On the other side, Ipswich, they'll take a point on the road. One thing that I think is going to be a little bit of a difficulty in the next couple games for Ipswich is George Hurst being out. So they're going with a zone up top, who was their signing over the summer. Um, might be difficult for them to create a lot of chances. I know a lot of their chances come from down the wings, but just having that, strong striking force in the middle could come back to haunt them, at least for the couple games that they don't have the transfer window. You would definitely expect, I mean, obviously, I think we expect all of the parachute teams, maybe not Leicester, because we just don't know the PSR things, to go and strengthen. I mean, we'll talk about Bamford at Sheffield United later down, but I think both teams will take a point in this game. I mean, it was a very defensive game. Both teams created low XG, but I think both of them will just say, you know what, we take it. Philogene was subbed off early. He was already on a yellow. Maybe McKenna was just trying to be smart. But either way, happy days there. We'll go to our club now. Coventry City 1, Swansea 0. We could talk about this all day. Maybe we'll even do a separate episode for one of our personal channels. But Coventry, it's another game, the second home game in a row where we didn't necessarily feel like they showed up, but they did enough to get the job done today. 1-0 victory. Give me your thoughts, 60-second summary on this game. Good, bad, what?
Well, I mean, I don't think I can even sum it up in 60 seconds, really. I think you look at the lineup going into it again, we're missing Thomas to Silva due to suspension. I mean, Sim starts wasn't particularly great for me. I think Swansea were one of the first teams this season to come and then be in the bottom six and just sit back and know that they need to defend and try and counter attack. They had one or two okay chances, I think, throughout the game, which they probably should have put in the back of the net. But it's the same for us. And I mean, it's a similar performance against teams that we've beaten 3-4-0. Just then we've been a lot more clinical. We weren't clinical enough today. A little bit lucky with Mason Clark finding the back of the net when he did. But yeah, not too much to complain about. And to move on from the game quickly and just give my thoughts, because we're at the halfway point of the season. I think as Coventry City fans, we now need to just understand that we are most likely going to be in the Premier League next season. So any signings we make, it's very hard to say this, but we can't go out signing championship players that probably aren't going to make the step up. It's a really, really big ask. It really is. And maybe that was why Bamford wasn't signed. I know we brushed over it a little bit. He's definitely a player that would score goals. We'll speak about him scoring goals later on in this episode. But I mean, with Noah Sante, I think we're missing him a little bit. Can't wait to see Thomas back because we're so much more solid at the back. But I think Wolfenden and Bidwell both had good shows today. Nothing really to pinpoint. I'm a little bit worried for Swansea. I mean, just their league position. I think they're picking up points where they can, but they're probably not in the position that they'd want to be in. I think their defence really, really helps them. They've got a good goalkeeper and a good back line as well. So yeah, I know that was longer than 60 seconds, Jonah, but that's my initial thoughts on the game.
That's okay. That's okay. You did good. Me and you are chronic yappers, hence the length of our videos on this channel, which we're getting better at, guys. But I actually am gonna oppose you here, Alex. I think we saved the Coventry talk for a separate episode. I actually think Swansea are going to be okay under Vitor Matos. So listen to an interview with him leading up to the game this week. Well, first off, he's got a really good CV. He's been under Klopp. He's been at Liverpool for a little bit. He was at Porto for a little bit. He's a very well spoken, and I feel like he is what's the word? He's a fluid manager where he's not going to come in and totally switch things around. But I thought in that first half, Swansea looked really good. We were very lucky to get that goal. Obviously, you mentioned it. EMC just turns around and just absolutely bangs it upper 90. But seems like he's implementing a good system there, and they're sitting relatively comfortably above the relegation zone right now. I mean, it's not comfortable, actually. Let's take that back. It's 4 points, but I think that they will be okay when it's all said and done. I mean, I'm looking at some of the teams around them. Oxford picked up a big win today, but then above them, it's Blackburn, Charlton, Sheffield United. You could definitely see a team like Blackburn and Charlton start to creep their way down, but I think Swansea will finish in the teens. That'd be my prediction. So moving on from there. Another 3 o'clock kickoff was Leicester versus Watford. Leicester City lose again. They blow a
I
1-0
mean,
lead.
can I just point out when are they getting their point deduction? Because -10 right now would see them in the relegation zone, and I wouldn't mind a little point deduction because they broke the rules at the end of the
Wow.
day. I mean, they've lost again. Leicester have lost again. I just want to point out. I just really, really, really want to point this out. When Leicester won all that they won, and fair enough, fair play to them, they'll bring it up when you speak to any Leicester fan. It's the only thing they'll ever bring up. They were so in your face. So, oh, look at us. Where's that now? Where is that now? I mean, they take the lead in this game. Watford get back into it. And this is the Watford that I expect. I mean, I've spoken so highly about them. I think they've got a really good team. Imran Luzer's one of the best players in the league, full stop. And I mean, overall, they've had performances this season where they just haven't got what they want. And I think even against Coventry, they were a really good team, tough to break down, created some good chances, just didn't have that kind of final touch, that final finish. Today they had that, and of course they were playing a team that aren't as good as Coventry, but they still showed that they're a good enough team to, find the back of the net, win games, and this is the Watford I expect. I mean, the halfway point in this season, I think Leicester are massively overperforming. Just looking at their quality week in, week out, they haven't been good enough at all. They're a minus goal difference, and this is a team that were playing in European football. What, 4 seasons ago, 5 seasons ago, they're in the Europa League. Now they're 14th in the Championship. Really not good enough. And I think a lot of the teams below them are a lot better as well. You look at Birmingham City, for example, Sheffield United, when they get going, that's if they ever get going this season, I think are a better side than what Leicester have got right now. The only way is down, I think, for Leicester. I don't think they're going to get relegated, but they're just on free fall constantly, and they'll win a few games. They'll pick up a point here and there, and then they just go back to square one. They can't score enough goals. Defensively, they're sloppy. I really don't know about Leicester. I just do
You know,
not think they're good enough to even be in the top half in this league.
there's just no confidence with them right now, blowing another lead. By the way, you Lauza, 2 assists. Watford are just I said it when they played Coventry, they're just a raw team. And if they could put it together, they could be a sneaky one. I mean, they are sitting in eighth place right now. So they're capitalizing on a couple teams, dropping for them, like Millwall, for example. But the middle of the table and even really into the playoffs is just an absolute cesspool right now. I mean, one good week will just vault you up or completely down. Leicester City could be in a very worse spot too. Ghana did not qualify for AFCON. If they didn't have Fatawu, I mean, to be fair, Coventry technically wouldn't have BTA as well, but he also was injured. So I don't know if you play that game, but you take Fatawu out of that team, it's not looking good, bruv. So we'll see. I'm excited to be at the CBS to watch us play Leicester, and I'm really hoping that it's a QPR-esque victory. So
I'm just
moving
saying,
over.
Jonah, if that was the case, they'd never hear the end of it. Like
Yeah,
they
of
would
course.
never. It's England beat Germany. I think it was 5-1. This was before I was born, and like people still speak about it and sing about it to this day. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's just them little rivalries, obviously, in football and stuff. I mean, we move on. Middlesbrough nil, Blackburn nil. We're speaking about another 0-0, but this is a really interesting result. You know, when we do our predictions, and of course we didn't do predictions for this game week, sometimes I look at kind of head to heads and oh, that team never really beat that team. And I think I'd have predicted maybe a draw here because in the past 5 times these two sides have played, Middlesbrough have won, but only once, and that was 2-0 the end of last season.
Ah,
And Blackburn tend to get a good result against Middlesbrough, was my logic here. And I said it all day. Middlesbrough don't really get anything against Blackburn. I think a point's a good result. I mean, come the end of it, but they are at home. Blackburn are in that kind of bottom 8. They're in the relegation pack, I'd say. They're just, 4 points off the drop and a
yeah.
few more goals on the goal difference. Of course, they've got a game in hand, but so do Portsmouth as well, who are also down there. But just to think, I mean, Middlesbrough now 2 games without a win. Ipswich creeping up. I mean, I'm hoping that this isn't going to happen in the next few games because we still have to play Ipswich. But it's probably about time Ipswich start to cement that second place spot. And I've not really had any fear around Middlesbrough. Only Ipswich, who again haven't been as good as Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough have won 2 more games. I just don't think they're consistent enough, and that's my point really. I mean, you look at Coventry; they hadn't beat Swansea at home for 41 years. Today they did it. I mean, that's the difference maker. Of course, there's curses like Preston that will probably never be broken, but that's the difference maker. Coventry are willing to go out and beat teams that they wouldn't usually beat. Middlesbrough probably not so much.
Yeah, I'm looking at the bottom of the table right now, and it's a good point you bring up the games in hand. Maybe I am a little bit more nervous for Swansea than I may have led on to be, considering the fact they're 4 points clear right now. You've got Norwich City, who we'll talk about next, who have been in pretty good form since Philippe Clement came in, and then Pompey and Blackburn both have a game in hand. The relegation battle is definitely going to get spicy. We saw Oxford get a win today. Sheffield United, I don't know what they're doing down there, but it's going to be a very, very fun time. Let's move on. Where are we, Alex?
Norwich versus Charlton. I mean,
There we go.
the Canaries with their 4 games unbeaten now under Philippe Clement. I know I probably said some things about Philippe Clement not being a great manager, but maybe I was wrong. We'll see. We'll see at the end of the
He
season.
also,
Um,
to be fair, it's sort of a. I mean, Frank Lampard obviously proved it wrong, but it's another one of those things where a manager's coming in when a team that is ridiculously expensive is underperforming. So it's like he really just needs to instill confidence back in the players and things change. How about Makama?
yeah.
Since Josh Sargent's went down, 4 goals in 3 games. He's been on fire. Got another one today.
I mean, that's just the proof that when a player gets that game time, they can have a little bit of confidence to find the back of the net. I think you will probably vouch a lot more for me here when I say that Josh Sargent is a top player. I'm sure you'll agree with that. But I think this season he's been a little bit quiet. I think there's many players this season that haven't been up to standard that you'd probably expect a bit more from. And I think that's been a massive positive for the teams like Charlton at the early starts of the season. I mean, they were doing really, really well under Nathan Jones. Now just 1 win in 5. Their next game is away at Fratton Park to Portsmouth. Portsmouth desperate for
Oh,
something. And then they host the Sky Blues on New Year's Day, Jonah. So, I mean, I don't know. As much as I've been positive in the past about Charlton, things have really started to make a little bit of a turn for the worse. I mean, 5 points off the drop. Okay, again, Oxford good result today. Portsmouth game in hand. Philippe Clement's Canaries are starting to get some results. And I mean, at one point this season, they hadn't won at home. And I'm talking maybe 4 or 5 games ago, Jonah. Back-to-back wins at Carrow Road now for Norwich City. So absolutely massive for the Yellows. Will they stay up? That's the question.
yeah, I think they will stay up there. I can't see them not. I mean, they're gonna get healthier, and also their athletic director, Ben Napper, is essentially fighting for his job. So I think they're not gonna be scared to dip into the transfer market in January. Just I mean, I think every team is saying that right now, but they are one that I genuinely believe out of those teams kind of at the bottom fighting for their life that could potentially go in and grab some people. But I think their team is good enough right now just
Yeah.
to get out of that zone. I mean, one game, they got Watford next. It's not the easiest matchup, but come end of the season, we're only 50% of the way through. They'll stay up. Who knows what'll happen to Sargent, though? I mean, I know there's a price on his head. He hasn't been great this year. They're clearly not rushing him back. I'm actually curious, though. I want to switch it back over to Charlton. If there's any Charlton fans, what has gone wrong? Because it felt like the first, 3 quarters of, the first half of the season, they were just so sound at the back and stuck to the game plans and defend, 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 counter. And just where's this free fall come from? I'm just very interested. In the comments, please let us know.
Yeah, I'm interested as well. And another team now down in the relegation zone that we're going to speak about, one that I don't think will have as much of a budget than Norwich, and I'm very interested to see what they do in January to make some attempt to stay in the Championship for the second season in a row. That's Oxford United. Now, Jonah, I've always had this thing around Oxford because they're very similar to Coventry in the sense of they were in League Two the season before we were relegated, so 15-16.
Hmm.
And gradually, year on year, they've just got better and better. They've built themselves up League One. Solid team in League One for many years. Beat Bolton Wanderers in the playoff final. Which I mean, you look at Oxford, you look at Bolton. Bolton are a much more historical, bigger club in English football. Bolton's still yet to return to the Championship since that playoff final. Oxford, though, been really decent, I think, against teams that you wouldn't expect them to be against. I mean,
Seriously.
they always seem to get something, and I mean again, it points out here. I mean, just to give a bit of context here, Oxford take the lead. A couple of minutes later, Harwood Bellis with the equaliser. The last time I saw Harwood Bellis score a goal was at Wembley playing for England just over a year ago. And now he's playing in the Championship against Oxford United. And a crazy scenes at the end with that 89th minute winner for Oxford. I mean, that's huge. That's absolutely huge. Stanley Mills with the goal, but that's huge for Oxford. And I mean, again, it just adds that little bit of spice. And I'll be honest, that Southampton game last week, our best team wins that game. And
Mhm.
any Coventry fan will nod, agree. I've said that to about 20 people today, leaving the ground saying, look, last week was a little bit of an anomaly. We played, I think, was it 9 different defenders over 2 games
Yeah.
because we had a few out injured, sickness. One was then sent off. We had to bring on 2 left backs and one had to play at centre back. I mean, it was crazy. And yet they killed that. Well, they still couldn't kill the game off, is what I'm trying to say. Southampton, they got a goal, but we defended for our lives. We did really, really well. And then when they're playing against a team like Oxford, 11 men away from home, despite Southampton dominating the ball, keeping the genes of Russell Martin from when he was sacked last season, very early last season, they still couldn't beat Oxford. And I think it's a really good result for Oxford. Whether they sustain this form, I'm not so sure. I think they'll be a little bit frustrated that teams around them, even Sheffield Wednesday, were able to pick up something today. But I still think, I mean, great result for Oxford.
Yeah, they're gonna do their best. I mean, obviously they're in the hunt for a new manager now. Best of luck to them. It's actually very funny. So in their last 8 games, they have 2 wins. Those 2 wins are against Southampton and Ipswich, two parachute teams. But quickly want to talk about Southampton. We're all getting excited and talking about, oh, Southampton are back. They win 6 of 8 games under Tonda Eckert. They make him the new manager. Quickly, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I don't think Southampton are as good as, their recent form has said. So if we just go through the teams they've beaten since, the switch from Will Still, they beat a QPR team that could show up and look like a promotion candidate or a relegation team on a day, right? Then they beat Sheffield Wednesday. Then they beat Charlton, who are free falling. Then they beat Leicester, who are absurdly inconsistent. The next really good team they play, Millwall, they lose. Then they play Birmingham on the road, at home against Birmingham. They win. Then they beat a struggling West Brom. Then they lose to Norwich and draw to Coventry. You read those results out, and yes, in theory, you say, oh, they won 6 of 8 games. It sounds great. But the teams they beat weren't great. I don't think that I see them as a threat anymore after watching them against Coventry and then obviously this result today. But we also know Oxford they just like to make it hard for themselves. They like to beat the good teams and then go and lose to the teams in and around the same spot at the table as them.
Yeah, I mean, Oxford at home is not a game I'm looking forward to. Coventry have a really good record against Oxford. I mean, even the season we were relegated to League Two, we beat them at Wembley in a final. Like, we have
Mhm.
a pretty good record against Oxford. I think we beat them at home as well that season. if I remember. I know they battered us 4-1 away from home. I remember
Oh,
that.
we'll probably
We,
draw to them. We'll
yeah,
probably draw
we
them at the
we
CBS.
we play against them on February the 7th, so I'd expect us to still have something to play for at that point. I was hoping for like the end of April, like one of the last games where we could just give them a win and be like, stay in the championship, guys. But yeah,
Mhm.
actually a lot of time for Oxford. I feel like we've been on this journey together just a little bit. We're moving on though to Portsmouth versus QPR. QPR who absolutely smashed Leicester 4-1 at Loftus Road, a 1-1 draw. I think it's a fantastic result for Pompey. They are hard to beat at home usually. I think they've just lost a lot of confidence this season. They take the lead just before half time. QPR get a goal back in the game, but I mean, Portsmouth seems to dominate for the majority of this game. And I mean, for me, it'd be a little bit frustrating to not come away with 3 points. I think they've got some quality in the team, the likes of Connor Chatling, Colby Bishop, Callum Lang, but they're just not utilising it enough. And like you say, QPR are a team who could be world class or could be letting 7 in the back of the net. You really don't know what to expect from QPR. I think they're going to have just a mid-table finish and we kind of leave it as a season to forget. But for me, this is a game Portsmouth, if they want to stay in this division, should be winning. I'll use the fact they've got a game in hand all the time when speaking about them, but it's still Blackburn away. It's not like they've got a home game against Sheffield Wednesday where they should expect to win. We'll speak about Sheffield Wednesday in a minute because they got a fantastic result. But I think Portsmouth need to start winning games if they want to stay in the league. Because if Norwich under Philippe Clement do start to improve, they could get left behind. And it's a shame because Portsmouth, similar to Coventry and Oxford, have been on that upwards trajectory. I've
Mhm.
seen Portsmouth in my lifetime play in all 4 top divisions of English football. I've seen them fall from the Premier League all the way down to League Two. I've seen them win a League Cup. They're back in the Championship. And it'd be a shame to see them back down in League One because they're a very good club as well.
Yeah, they need to pick up some. They need to pick up all three against Charlton in their next game. That'll be a really, really big affair. And then QPR, who knows, man? They could shoot up the table, they could shoot down the table. But the one thing I will say is they are overperforming expectations, sitting in ninth place right now. If I remember correctly, the bookies had them in the late teens. So good for them on that front. All right, let's move on. Sheffield Wednesday get a draw at home against Hull. This is a crazy result. Playoff team Hull cannot get all 3 points at Hillsborough, which is not very common this season.
Can
What went
you
wrong?
can you guess who Hull reminded me of here? A certain
Coventry.
team. Yes, this is the
Yes.
Coventry of old. This is the Mark Robbins Coventry. I've seen us go to Rotherham when Rotherham were like the worst team in the league by far and lose 2-0 and then finish in the playoffs. Like this was the season we beat Man United. It was that season. We lost 2-0 away at Rotherham, smashed them 5-0 at home. It just made absolutely no sense. Sheffield Wednesday up to -8 points, and I was obviously following this game along. I mean, it's 2 points in 5 now, which is brilliant. But I was actually following this game along at the CBS. And when Sheffield Wednesday went 1-0 up, I'm thinking, okay, but it's only 20 minutes in. Hull will probably score a few goals. It's 1-1 at half time, and then Sheffield Wednesday make it 2-1. I think it must have been like the 63rd minute. I checked my phone to see this, and I'm like, oh, great, Sheffield Wednesday are winning. Because as much as we've kind of accepted the fate of Sheffield Wednesday, Obi-Wan Kenobi style, like he's already, dead. He's accepted his fate of death. This is it for Sheffield Wednesday. They're still fighting. They're still getting points on the board. And for Hull, it's probably a little bit frustrating because they're a team who want to be in and around the playoffs. Had Hull won today, and just want to point this
Yep.
out, they'd be third on 40
Just
points.
that is
3 points.
absolutely insane.
3 points behind Middlesbrough. And it's like the most Coventry result ever because Coventry would be in this position and just like
Mhm.
absolutely bottle it. But well into Sheffield Wednesday, great result. It's a shame they didn't win the game. This is nothing against Hull, but it's a shame they win the game. Any final comments on this one, Jonah?
Yeah, just because we were relating it to Coventry, this is kind of like the Yeovil Town, the Yeovil
Yeah.
Town versus Coventry. Which, if you guys don't know, I have a video coming out with Alex where we went back and we watched some of the most diabolical Coventry matchups from the lower league days. So keep an eye out for
Yeah.
that on my channel. We'll
Well,
move into a
there's a few good ones. Let's just say I will say that. I mean, they are
yeah.
diabolical standard of football, but there's a few good ones. The one I want to move on to, Jonah, and I want to kick this one off. This is the most championship result ever, right? We had a laugh about this walking out the ground. Stoke nil, Preston nil. This is both managers will be buzzing with this result. Both managers will be like, "That's a great result." Mark Roberts will be like, "Great result, tough side, Preston." Our press will be like, "Yeah, good result, Stoke on the road." The two most championship clubs having the most championship result. I mean, yeah, Stoke nil, Preston nil.
Both under 1 XG. Stoke, the home team, holding possession. Name of the game is defense for both of these teams. They'll both be happy. Where are they in the table? So Preston just slightly dipped down to fifth. They've
Stoke have fell
drawn.
off, man.
They have fallen off like crazy. I
Yeah,
mean, they picked up. They had one win. Who did they beat? They beat Swansea. That's the one. Because Swansea were 3-4 going into the Coventry game, so they beat them. But yes, Stoke have just. It's like the Mark Robbins just is he running out of gas? Does he not have the firepower? I do remember in my analysis when Coventry were facing off against Stoke, I did say that they don't necessarily have like a main goal scorer, and you need that in this league. I mean, to keep you up and keep you in that playoff race. I mean, if you look at all of those teams above them, they've got true defined strikers that can score goals for them. But Divine Mabama, he's very hit or miss. He's had a couple good stretches. Also, would like to mention they are missing their right back. Oh my God, what is his
Junior
name?
Shamadou.
Yes, Shamadou is playing in AFCON. He's a big miss. Him and Manhoff down that right side are horrifying. But yeah, like you said, championship result. Professional managers come in and draw points. Moving on. Bristol City. They get a win on the road against West Brom. When is Ryan Mason going to lose his job? I feel like they're underperforming. Maybe people will say differently, but Bristol City, Alex, took them a little bit to get going. But we saw when they played against Coventry, they're a good team. They well and truly could be in the playoffs come end of season. They defend hard. They're physical. They can create a lot of chances. They've got a couple strikers that they can rotate up front. They're a good team, and it showed today when they got a result.
Yeah, I mean, they've struggled on the road as of late. I mean, this is their first real team out of the bottom six that they've been able to beat on the road, but a really good result. And I mean, Ryan Mason, I mean, he has to be on borrowed time at this point. West Brom, I've said this many times, they're a side that will expect to be a lot higher than where they are, just off merit, really. 4 losses now in 5. The one win in that time, coming in the middle of that, a 2-0 win over Sheffield United, who are the most bipolar team in the league, probably worse than QPR. And we'll actually speak about Sheffield United next. But I think it's a really good result. Bristol City find themselves in the playoffs, similar to the position where they finished last season. And I don't know, could it be back-to-back playoff finishes for Bristol City?
Very possible. Also, I should also just mention too, maybe a little bit of luck on their side in this game because they were very clinical and they also scored from outside the box. But result is a result at the end of the day. So we'll see what happens with both of these teams. Did you mention that they are sitting in the playoffs right now? Yeah, wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so they are back into sixth place, right where they finished last year. Right now, the matchup would be Ipswich versus Bristol City, which I'm sure that won't be the actual case. But yeah, good for them. Moving on. Our last game, and probably the craziest game of the day. Wrexham versus Sheffield United. Turning back the clock. Patrick Bamford, 2 goals. Did you see the first goal that he scored was absolutely ridiculous. Was it like a outside of the foot, just put it upper 90 from across? It was absolutely ridiculous. I guess
Yeah,
Unk still
just
has it.
I mean, the 3 players, well, the 3 goals from Sheffield United are all players that have trained at the Sky Blue Lodge in the past couple of years. One that we turned down this season
Mm.
in Patrick Bamford. I don't know whether that will come back to bite us in the backside. I mean, to see him scoring 2 goals against Wrexham, and for us to have Asante out injured, Sims and Wright not being on the best of form. I mean, I'll say that I'll give Sims with a little bit of pinch of salt because he hasn't been starting the past couple of games. Have we made a mistake here, or is Bamford on ridiculous wages? And who knows? I mean, who really knows? But a great result for Wrexham. Let's not take that away. For Sheffield United to score 3 goals away at Wrexham and still not win the game is just terrible, to be honest. I mean, they're a side that want to get going. and they're getting goals. O'Hare's having a really good season. But it's a game where Sheffield United take the lead. It's an own goal from Bindon. Then obviously Bamford scores again. And then we see Kiefer Moore. He, well, kind of starts to get back into the game. They might be 3-1 down at this point. But I think second half is where Sheffield United fall off a cliff. And realistically, when you've got the likes of Josh Windass and Kiefer Moore in your side, players that will score goals at this level, that is all the difference. And I think Wrexham, it's really, really good result. I look at their side, and obviously they're probably not a team that you'd look for top six, but they're going to want to keep the likes of Callum Doyle, Dominic Hyam, Ben Sheaf, players that have experienced, top level, top championship football in the past. And then, they're just going to want to build on that team for the next couple of seasons. And realistically, they will be a team that will be in the playoffs, will be pushing for promotion at some point. As for Sheffield United, I think if they had last season's form, because from how good they were last year with that team, it's a pretty much identical team. There's a couple of changes, there's a few improvements, really. I mean, Tanganga, you know, on the defender they had on that Bosnian guy that I can't say his name because it's really, really long. But I hope people watching
Wait. I think I know the pronunciation because it's from FIFA. Medazovic.
that one,
Maybe.
I don't know whether you're right or wrong, but I hope people know
Probably
who I'm on
wrong.
about. I don't think it's a like for like replacement, and that's a big loss, obviously, for Sheffield United. But they've still kept a lot of key players. Gustavo Hamer could have easily gone over to play for Feyenoord or whatever. They've kept obviously Callum O'Hare, Blaster Cooper in goal as well, was a player that could have easily gone to the Premier League. Had a fantastic year last year, so they just need to get going. And this second half of the season may be the difference. Who knows? But very interesting to see Josh Windass score as well. Obviously, a former Sheffield Wednesday player, and then Kiefer Moore gets 2 goals as well. So very interesting for Wrexham. They're a team that, for me, I mean, I think it's hard to see them in and around the playoffs this season. I think they've been a little inconsistent, but when they can beat teams, look really good. For me, they're the best. I don't want to say they're the best team that played against Coventry this year because I wouldn't say that's true man for man. But if one team has had the best performance against Coventry this year, it has been Wrexham. I think they were just slightly better than what we saw from Ipswich. I don't know whether you agree on that one.
Yeah, I agree with that definitely. The Ipswich one didn't feel like a 3-0 loss, but the Wrexham game felt more like it could have been a 3-0 loss compared to Ipswich. Yeah, good result for them. Good to see Nathan Broadhead getting into the lineup. I know he was one of their big money signings, and he's had a tough time getting into the team and making an impact. On the other side, biggest loss for Sheffield United was probably in that midfield with Vinny Souza. But now that Hamer's back and Callum O'Hare is having a good year, they're starting to piece things together slowly. But that collapse in the second half, I think, just goes to show that this is the team that's just not confident in themselves. And I feel like it's we highlight and we talk about Sheffield United when they get these good results, and we talk about them turning things around, good goals, Hamer coming back from injury. But then you look at them in the table, and they're still in 19th place. It feels like
Yeah,
they're a lot higher. I think it just goes to show, because I mean they were what? What did they pick up? 1 point from their first 8 games, so they really had a true mountain to climb. And it's like, yes, they're in better form now, but it's still they are 12 points off of the playoffs, 10 points off the
yeah.
playoffs. It's going to be an uphill battle. I think we can get relatively close to shutting the door on it, but I mean, you never know. However, I see a couple teams above them that I could see making late charges for that, fifth or sixth playoff spot.
Well, I mean, who knows? I think at this point in the season, it's very hard to, like you say, back Sheffield United. But anything can change from now until the end of the season. We're only at the halfway point, Jonah. And well, just looking at the table, like I've already mentioned, you look at that top 12. There's 10 teams that were in the championship last season. You look at the bottom half. Of course, you've got all 3 teams that were promoted, 2 of which were highly topped to do something this season and just haven't really. No disrespect to Wrexham, I think they've performed best of the 3 overall. Birmingham probably not expecting to be where they were. Charlton, I think, are actually in a better position than where a lot of people predicted them. What we're speaking maybe 6 weeks ago, that Charlton could have been a top half team pretty easily. But
They were in the playoffs for a little
yeah,
bit.
I mean, who knows? It's the best league in the world for a reason, like I say, and I think it's been a good season so far. It's easy to say that as Coventry City fans. I'm sure there'll be Sheffield Wednesday fans that aren't even bothering watching half of the games. And true, right? I mean, they're having a very abysmal season for one reason or another. But I mean, with the Mike Ashley takeover and things hopefully improving at Sheffield Wednesday, it won't be too long until they're back being competitive, whether that's in League One or League Two, wherever. I know it's hard to say right now, but I don't know. I think Sheffield Wednesday is an anomaly that I don't really like speaking about too much. I think the rest of the league, it's more you look at Norwich, their mismanagement near the start of the season. Southampton didn't start too well. Sheffield United haven't really been able to be consistent enough. But I'm very happy with how this first half of the season's gone. It's been an enjoyable first half of the championship, and I can't believe we're already halfway through, Jonah.
It's crazy. It really is. Time flies. And it's only going to fly even more because we've got 3 more games in about 10 or 11 days. And then
Yeah.
next thing you know, we're going to be watching Coventry versus Leicester, and I'll be there. We'll be sinking pints and we'll just be hopefully celebrating at the end. So thank you all if you made it to the end. Like, comment, subscribe, get down below, let us know your thoughts. We're going to really, really make the best attempt possible to be super consistent, get a schedule going, and stick to these uploads because we like it. We like the support. We appreciate you all very much. Thank you all. Alex, take us out.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to mirror what Jonah said. Thank you all very much for watching. If you have enjoyed, I hope you've already liked and subscribed because Jonah just told you to do it. And yeah, that is that. Thank you very much. And I'll see you guys in the next one.
Peace.